Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here with a review of the Power Rangers Super Megaforce Legendary Ranger Action Hero Figures Wave 6. It's a long title, I don't even know what it says above. But yeah, so this is the Wave 6 of 5-inch Ranger figures we have been getting. I am reviewing Wave 5 before Wave 6 because that is what I found first. As you can see, Wave 5 includes the Gold Zeo Ranger, the Red and Space Ranger, Titanium Lightspeed Rescue Ranger, Quantum Time Force Ranger, S.P.D Omega Ranger, and Super Samurai Red Ranger. To get this out of the way at the beginning, so I don't get questions, even though I probably still will, I found these at Walgreens. As I mentioned, I found this before Wave 5. Wave 5 was being spotted at Walmart's, but distribution seemed to have slowed a little bit. I think it's still trickling out there. I've heard people have also found this particular wave of figures, Wave 6, at Walmart as well. I know I have seen some people get them at Toys R Us, and obviously, as I just said, I found them at Walgreens. About 2 at a time. Also shipping with Wave 6 is 2 figures from Wave 5, which are the White Mighty Morphin Power Ranger and the Super Megaforce Silver Ranger, which will be covered in my Wave 5 review. So hopefully that clears up any where did you buy these questions. But so anyway, as per usual, we're going to pretty much go over all these guys individually, taking a look at them and next to their older counterparts. But to start, I am going to take a quick look at the articulation on one of them, since they all share the same base mold. The only ones that may have some slight differences are the Gold Ranger and maybe Super Samurai Red because of their shoulder pads, and then his little coat piece here, which may interfere with the articulation slightly. I'm going to use Omega Ranger because he's pretty basic articulation-wise, and he does not have any weapons or anything to get away with it. But it's pretty much the same base mold that we've been having, pretty solid range of articulation. You got a hinge joint here, so you can go all around, in and out, I guess. I was trying to think how to say that. And then single joint here. You can swivel at the fist. You got a nice hinge joint here, so you can swivel here. Single knee joint here. You can swivel his head. No real up and down movement. No real waist movement. But yeah, the same mold we've been getting. I did hear that the thighs were a little bit longer. I'm not sure how true that is. It does seem to be true a little bit. They do seem a little bit longer and less, squatty than the old ones. And I heard they actually even updated a few of them. I don't think it's worth rebuying it. But whether it's true or not, it definitely seems so, and it makes a little bit of a difference. Then again, it could just be me being used to this now. But yeah, the same mold goes for all of them, so I'm not going to go over articulation on every single one of them. I don't have any loose joint problems with any of these figures. They all function just like all the other action hero figures did. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the all of them together. So now let's go ahead and take a look at them individual, starting with the Gold Ranger. So we will start things off here with the Gold Zeo Ranger figure, which is often a fan favorite if people give it a suit design, which I can see why. I think it's one of my favorite suits as well. And overall, this figure is really nice. As I mentioned, all the articulation on him are the same and solid, so nothing much to talk about there. But detail-wise, honestly, he looks pretty good. I have to say, they did the helmet really well. They got the proportions on there nicely. It looks pretty nicely detailed. Maybe not quite as shiny as he could be, obviously. He's pretty, basic there, as you can see. But overall, I still think he looks really good. They got all the proportions on there right. The paint, for the most part, looks good. And as I mentioned, I'm pretty impressed by the helmet. It actually looks really accurate. They did a good job of conveying the texture and, proportions of it. I just really, really enjoy it. I was especially impressed how well this stacks up against the Super Legends figure, considering that was one of my favorite ones. Or at least Gold Ranger ones that they've done. As you can see here, he does come with his golden power staff here, which is, the traditional Power Rangers solid plastic weapon, but it's got a good proportion size to it. It's obviously, in sort of gold plastic instead of gray, which makes it nice, but yeah, overall, pretty nicely done there. Just quickly, we'll get a comparison. I have 2 Gold Ranger, whoops, Jason, settle it down. I have 2 Gold Ranger figures to compare it to. There we go. I lost it. Alright, so first off, here is him next to, this is the original 5-inch figure release, or 5-ish inch figure release from the original Zeo line. As you can see, there's quite a difference. This guy had some really strange proportions. He had an action-y gimmick. This guy's shorter, but I think he looks a lot better. And then right here we do have the Super Legends Gold Ranger figure, which came out of the, if I can get them all to stand on here, which came out of the Chaser line of figures, which I still think personally is my favorite Gold Ranger figure. But this one honestly is pretty good. I think the thing that this has one up over this one is its gold armor is a little bit darker. It's not shiny, but darker, so it makes it look a little more show accurate. I think just overall it's a little bit better. But honestly, if you can't find this one, this is probably the second best Gold Ranger figure, and they did a good job on it, and I'm not really upset at it at all. But if you're trying to decide and you really only want one Gold Ranger figure, I'd recommend this one. But this is certainly a very good Gold Ranger figure that I actually like quite a bit. And I guess I do like having the gold plastic weapon as opposed to the silver one that he has here. This one's just looking strange. Alright, so now let's go on to In Space. Alright, so now we are at the In Space Red Ranger figure, which is honestly kind of a strange figure for me. It's just got something wrong with all the paint on it. Proportion-wise, it actually looks pretty good. I think they got the helmet sleekness down, and all the paint, like basic setup-wise, looks good. Like, here's the head sculpt here. I think they did a really good job on capturing the way the helmet looks aesthetically, but I don't know if you can tell, but there's something weird about it. Not this ass, but first of all, on his helmet, when he spins back around here, the little symbol on the tip of his helmet is black as opposed to the gold color it's supposed to be. Right there you can see it. And his chest there, the outlines of all the shapes are, well, outlined. They're really not supposed to look that outlined. It looks really strange. I never thought I'd be complaining about a figure for having too much detail. Honestly, this one just looks weird. Like I said, it's kind of disappointing because In Space is my favorite series, and I think they nailed a lot of this figure in terms of proportion-wise, but just detail-wise, this piece here looks really strange and out of place. And the black piece, I guess I could see being able to deal with, but this is honestly kind of an eyesore. Accessories wise, he comes with two things. As you can see, he's got his Astro Blaster here, which is just a standard silver piece, which he can pop onto the side here with his peg, which is kind of annoying because the peg sticks out. And then you do have the gray weaponed Spiral Saber, which actually looks pretty nice. I mean, it's not like detail wise, but size wise and proportion wise, it looks pretty solid. Now let's take a look at it here next to the original 5-inch figure release from years and years ago. And honestly, I do like the old 5-inch figure. I don't think, have I reviewed this one yet? I mean, I've reviewed it, but I don't know if the reviews came out yet. But anyway, I think that aesthetically, this one's a bit of an improvement. I guess aesthetically is the wrong word because I'm complaining about it, but I mean build-wise, he's not as muscular. I think they got the helmet proportions better, but as you can see here, let's take a look here, you got the gold paint here. I mean, it's very faint, but you can see it doesn't so much blend in with this piece, and then these are not supposed to be outlined. So unfortunately, I think the In Space became the weak link in the in this set of figures just due to the over amount of detail they used. I honestly never thought I'd be complaining about something like that. Alright, so now let's go ahead and get some titanium power. Alright, now here we have what seems to be everyone's favorite Ranger nowadays, the Titanium Ranger. I really do dig the suit design. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the character, but that's beside the point. I think this is a really strong figure. I like it quite a bit. Proportion and detail wise, I think it looks excellent. Just moving around to the helmet, they've captured it pretty perfectly. I really don't have any issues with it being too big or too small. And then the paint job looks really nice. It's not exactly 100% shiny, but it almost has a shiny quality to it, including the gold. As you can see, the camera's actually picking it up pretty well. And I think they did a really good job of capturing his coloring. Now, I have two figures to compare it to. I have the original Titanium release, and then there is also the Super Legends version, which I could not find mine. I have no idea why, but I do remember what it looks like, so I'll just talk about it. But like I said, I think this figure looks really good. They just sort of nailed the color scheme of it. And like I just said, I hate to repeat myself, but doesn't necessarily have a metallic coating, but the way they painted it looks the closest you'll get, and I think they captured his color perfectly. He does come with his titanium laser axe here. It is in his axe mode, which actually looks pretty impressive. Being gold, it looks pretty cool. It's got a nice size to it. I actually think it looks more impressive than in the show. Seriously, when he has the laser in the show, it looks like it's about to make like rubber ducky squeaky noises. It looks terrible. But yeah, that's pretty much what he comes with. I think it's funny though that, I mean, he pretty much can only hold it as an axe, but like on the back of the box it lists it as a laser, which it can turn into a laser, it's just they don't give you that option. But anyway, here he is next to the original 5-inch figure. Damn it, he can't even handle himself. 5-inch figure release. As you can see, there's quite a difference. This is a far superior figure. This one's far too dark. The helmet looks very strange, too muscular. He does light up and beep at you, but far superior figure from the original release. Now, I do still prefer the Super Legends mold, which was the other Titanium Ranger figure, but his coloring was too light and also didn't have the metallic quality to it. So honestly, despite preferring the base articulation mold, I actually think this is the best titanium figure released to date. They just did a really great job with the proportions and the paint job. It's just a really nice figure. Definitely like a must for Titanium Ranger fans. Alright, so now I guess it is Quantum
and
here
time.
we have the Quantum Ranger figure, which I think is another pretty solid looking figure. Let's do the spin. Let's do it, darling. I don't know why I turned into Edna mode again. I think I did that in another review. But as you can see from the back, he looks fab. No, but honestly, it's a very solid looking figure. All the detail on him looks pretty good. He's pretty basic, so it's pretty hard to mess him up, but I think detail-wise they got him pretty good. My only real complaint sort of comes from the head sculpt, where the visor looks a little maybe small or close together. But that's pretty much the nature of the sculpt, and I'm getting a feeling that Time Force Red will be the same. But when he spins around, we'll see what I'm talking about. See, just with the jagged edges, it looks a little close together. Like it could be just a little bit wider on the visor. But other than that, he's a really nice looking Quantum Ranger figure. The only thing he comes with here is the Quantum Defender in its blaster mode. The handle seems kind of long. They actually got all the details on it. Pretty well done. It's got a little peg here sticking out, unfortunately, so it can peg into the side. But it would have been neat if it would have come with the sword mode like the original figure did, just to give you a little more options. Speaking of the original figure, I have him right here to take a quick look at. Here he is next to the... Every time I put them over, one of them falls. But here he is next to the original Quantum Ranger figure released from the Time Force line. Definitely think it's a superior figure. Granted, this one's bigger. They got the proportions on this one a lot nicer. I actually think this guy's visor distribution is a little bit wider spread, but very much an improvement over the old ones, as these often are. I think this is a really nice Quantum Ranger figure. Definitely a step up from the old release, despite being technically a step down size-wise. Alright, so that's about it for Quantum, and I guess now it's Omega time. Here we have the SPD Omega Ranger figure, one of which I was actually looking forward to quite a bit, because the Omega Ranger is one of my favorite suit designs ever. I think it just looks really awesome. And they did a really good job on this figure as well. The paint and details on it look good. All the colors look right and show accurate. They kind of pop off of it. Proportion-wise, I think they did a great job on his helmet. I think it looks pretty show accurate. They did a really good job on it. I just really enjoy it. Something I really like about what they did with the head sculpt is that it actually's got texture to it. One of my main problems with the SPD Red Ranger figure is his head was so smooth and it looked really strange, but this one actually has some texture to it, which is really nice. I'll pick that up for a second and just go ahead and give you a look at that, just so that you can see. MC's got a bit of a texture to it with, like, you know, the way the helmet actually dips into the visor. And granted, part of it could be due to his design, but I think that it just looks better than SPD Reds, which had this really, like, weird naked mole rat thing. Like, he looked like Rufus from Kim Possible. It was just really strange. And like I said, they have a different helmet, but I still think they could have incorporated a bit of texture into SPD Reds, which I think they did a really good job fixing here. His Omega Morpher, unfortunately, isn't very detailed, like most of the Morphers on these, which is, I feel like it's more of a shame on him because it's his weapon, and I don't know why they would single him out to give him a better Morpher paint, but it just seems more disappointing there. But other than that, I think he looks really good. Here we'll take a look at the original figure release, which I definitely think is far superior. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but this guy's dusty as all hell. His Morpher may look a little bit better, but definitely better proportion-wise for the body and helmet-wise. This guy's helmet just looks really odd when you put it next to it. It's funny because as these figures age, you definitely see them looking weirder, but once you get like updated versions like this, you definitely see like, whoa, these figures look really strange. So definite improvement on the Omega Ranger figure front. If you're looking for an Omega Ranger figure, go for this one. Alright, and now for the last individual look, we will go for Super Samurai. Alright, so last for the individual looks, we have the Super Samurai Red Ranger figure, which is another good figure. This has been a really good wave. I think this one really wasn't a surprise as it being good, as I really did like the Samurai mold from the previous wave, and this is essentially that same figure, but with a white robe on. So I thought they did a really good job on the proportion and details on his face previously, so they did a good job on that. I think the coat looks good. They got the gold paint looking nice and almost shiny to it. Contrasts well. Unfortunately, you do have that little tramp stamp there, but the symbol on the back there looks nice. Just overall nice looking. Just the white coat did a good job of complementing an already nice figure, which is really neat. As I mentioned in the Samurai review, what's nice about these is it's kind of like a what if we had actually gotten 5-inch figures for Samurai, as they used 4 inches previously. As for what he comes with, he just comes with a spin sword with a black box on it, except it's red. Really not much to it. I do appreciate that it actually has a silver tip to differentiate it. Would have been cool if it was black boxed, but... And then he does come with the Samuraiser that Lauren used, actually, which is the one with the little calligraphy brush on there, which I think is kind of funny. I can't remember if the original one came with it or not, but regardless, it is kind of funny since that would have been Lauren's. But yeah, overall, very nice figure. I really like it. I don't have one right here to compare to him because I actually have my samurai stuff in storage, but the direct comparison would be obviously the 4-inch figure, which is just smaller. These figures almost do feel like a slightly upscaled version of the 4-inch mold, but slightly improved, but that would be the difference there. But this is a really nice figure to get one. In this scale is sort of a what if, and I guess it makes sense since they split Samurai and Super Samurai into separate seasons. But yeah, very nice figure for a very nice wave. Alright, so now let's go ahead to the final verdict. Alright, so that pretty much wraps up all the figures. Overall, I really like this wave quite a bit. I keep wanting to say that it's primarily a 6-Ranger wave, but it's actually sort of evenly split if you count Quantum as a red, but it's a really solid wave, with the exception of In Space being kind of weird, or like weirder than he needs to be. This is a nice wave of figures. All of them look good on the shelf, they have nice details, and it's just really cool to be getting all these older Ranger figures. And I'm actually really impressed they managed to pretty much release all the ones they showed. It didn't have any, you know, just kind of fall through the cracks. But overall, with the exception of In Space, I can pretty much recommend all these if you're a fan of the individual Rangers, or you just want a good... you know, display piece of all the Rangers, or all the 6 and reds that they're giving us at least. But yeah, very solid wave of figures, definitely a good wave to end on, even though I'm reviewing this one first and technically my last review will be 5. But yeah, great wave of figures, really like them. I always enjoy me a 5-inch figure. But anyway, that sounded really dirty. But anyway, until next time, make sure you check out the crazy podcast at writersrangersrambles.com. And of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, it's Awesome Writer, signing out.